My girlfriend said, "You're too soft. I miss the rough passion I had with my ex." I nodded. The next morning, she woke up to a printed screenshot of that message taped to her suitcase at the door. This morning, 54 missed calls and 23 texts. I'm not one for drama. Never have been. Growing up with a single mom who worked 2 jobs to keep a roof over our heads, I learned early that steady and reliable trumps flashy and unpredictable every time. That philosophy served me well through college, my first few jobs, and eventually building my own small but successful web design business. It did not, however, serve me well with Vanessa. We met at a friend's housewarming party last year. She walked in and the entire energy of the room shifted. Long dark hair, bright laugh, confidence that pulled people into her orbit. Including me, apparently. When she approached me at the makeshift bar, a folding table covered in liquor bottles, I was genuinely surprised. Women like Vanessa didn't typically notice guys like me. "You look like you know how to make a proper drink," she said, eyeing the whiskey sour I'd just mixed for myself. "Benefits of bartending through college," I replied, already reaching for another glass. "What's your poison?" That was the beginning. We exchanged numbers, went on a proper date the following week, and fell into a relationship that moved faster than I was used to. By month 3, she had a drawer at my place. By month 6, she was staying over more nights than not. The sex was incredible. Our friends got along, and despite our different personalities, her spontaneous fire to my steady earth, we seemed to balance each other. 8 months in, the cracks started showing. It began with small comments. She'd suggest I was too predictable, or that I needed to live a little. When I'd plan a nice dinner date, she'd push for clubbing instead. When I'd prefer a quiet weekend in, she'd get restless. I tried to compromise, stepping outside my comfort zone more often than not. Then came the message that changed everything. We'd had a good night. Dinner, wine, sex, nothing out of the ordinary, but pleasant, comfortable. At least that's what I thought. Afterward, she was on her phone while I was in the bathroom. When I came back to bed, she was already asleep, her phone face up beside her. A notification illuminated the screen. A message from her friend Kira. I wasn't trying to snoop, but it's hard not to see a message that's right there in plain view. "So how was tonight with Mr. Reliable? Still missing Jake's wild side?" I shouldn't have looked. I know that. But something about that message hit a nerve, and before I could talk myself out of it, I picked up her phone. It was still unlocked. I felt a twinge of guilt as I opened her messages. This violated a trust we'd built over months. Under normal circumstances, I'd never go through someone's phone. But the comment about missing Jake felt like confirmation of doubts I'd been having, and in that moment, my need to know outweighed my ethical reservations. The conversation with Kira went back hours. Vanessa had been texting her during our date, during the moments I thought we were connecting. The most recent exchange made my stomach drop. "Vanessa, just finished dinner. He's so attentive, it's almost boring. Lol, at least he treats you well." "Yeah, but sometimes I want less gentleman and more caveman, you know? Jake was an ass, but at least he kept things exciting." "Girl, you broke up with Jake because he was too rough." I know, but sometimes I miss that passion. Ethan's too soft, like just now, perfectly nice sex, but I miss feeling like I've been properly taken, you know? "So how was tonight with Mr. Reliable? Still missing Jake's wild side?" I set the phone down exactly as I'd found it and lay beside her, staring at the ceiling. My mind was racing, but one thought kept circling back. I didn't want to be someone's safe option, their reliable plan B, while they fantasized about their exciting ex. I didn't sleep much that night. By morning, I'd made my decision. While Vanessa was still sleeping, I quietly got up, took screenshots of the conversation, and sent them to my email. Then I went to my home office, printed them out, and gathered her things, not just the items in her drawer, but the makeup in my bathroom, the spare charger she kept by the couch, the extra clothes in my closet. Everything went into her weekend bag, which I placed by the front door with the screenshots taped to it, highlighted for emphasis. I left a note on the kitchen counter. "I deserve someone who wants what I offer, not someone who settles for it. Don't contact me again." Then I left to get breakfast and give her space to leave with dignity. I texted my buddy Mike to meet me at our usual diner. I needed normalcy, and Mike, with his decade-long marriage and 2 kids, was as normal as it got. After breakfast, I couldn't face going home yet, knowing Vanessa might still be there or might return while I was there. I decided to drive to the coast for a few hours, something I often did when I needed to clear my head. The 2-hour drive each way plus some time walking on the beach would give plenty of buffer. It wasn't just about avoiding confrontation. I genuinely needed space to process everything. When I told him what happened, he nodded slowly. "That's cold, man. Effective, but cold." "What would you have done? Confronted her? Had a big emotional scene?" He shrugged. "Probably, but I'm not you. You've always been surgical when you're hurt." I didn't know if that was a compliment or criticism, didn't much care at that point. "She's going to try to get you to talk this out," Mike warned. "You know how your friend groups overlap with all those design industry events. Word will spread fast." He was right. Vanessa and I had met through interconnected professional circles. Her PR firm often worked with creative agencies that collaborated with my web design business. We shared many mutual friends and professional contacts. A messy breakup would have ripple effects beyond just our relationship. By the time I returned home 3 hours later, Vanessa was gone. So was her bag. The note remained on the counter, now with her house key placed on top of it. I thought that would be the end. Clean break, lesson learned, move on. I was wrong. The calls started that evening. First one, then 3 in a row, then a barrage that I sent straight to voicemail. Text messages followed, evolving from confusion to anger to pleading. "We need to talk about this. You went through my phone? That's a violation of privacy." Those messages weren't what they sounded like. "Please call me back. This is so unlike you. I'm sorry if I hurt you. Can we please just talk?" I didn't respond to any of them. The next day brought more of the same, plus a new development. Tira called. When I didn't answer, she texted, "Look, I know you're pissed and you have every right to be. But V is a mess. What she said was stupid girl talk. She really cares about you." I blocked Kira's number too. By day 3, the missed calls had reached the 20s. Vanessa showed up at my apartment that evening, but I wasn't home. I'd started staying at a hotel after she showed up unannounced the previous night while I was there. That confrontation had been brief but intense, with her demanding explanations and me firmly asking her to leave. After that, I decided a few nights at a nearby hotel would give things time to cool down. My neighbor texted that she'd sat outside my door for 2 hours on this second attempt. On day 4, she emailed me. "Ethan, I know you don't want to talk to me, and I understand why." What I said to Kira was thoughtless and hurtful. The truth is, I do sometimes miss the excitement of toxic relationships, but that doesn't mean I want that again. What we have is so much better, stable, trusting, real. I was just having a moment of stupidity. Please don't throw away everything we've built over one dumb conversation. I miss you. I miss us. I read it twice, then archived it without responding. By the end of the week, I had 54 missed calls and 23 unread text messages from Vanessa, plus a handful from mutual friends who'd been recruited into the effort to get me to talk to her. I changed my number that weekend and gave the new one only to family and close friends with strict instructions not to share it. I considered blocking her email too, but decided against it for practical reasons. We had several shared professional contacts, and I wanted to maintain at least one channel for any absolutely necessary communication about work-related matters. Instead, I created a filter to move her emails to a separate folder that I'd check only occasionally. 2 weeks after the incident, I was finally back in my apartment and settling into a new routine. Work, gym, occasional drinks with friends who hadn't taken sides in what had apparently become quite the dramatic split in our social circle. As Mike had predicted, our breakup had forced many mutual friends to choose sides, with some blaming me for the heartless way I'd ended things, while others supported my decision to maintain a clean break. I was starting to feel like myself again when there was a knock at my door. It wasn't Vanessa, it was Jake. I recognized him from photos I'd seen, tall, tattooed, with the kind of confident smirk that probably got him both into and out of trouble regularly. I tensed, ready for, I don't know what, a confrontation? A fight? Instead, he held up his hands in a peaceful gesture. Look, man, I'm not here to cause problems. Can we talk for 5 minutes? How did you even find my address? I asked, suspicious. LinkedIn, he said simply. Your business address is listed on your profile. I took a chance it might be your home office too. It wasn't hard to figure out. That made sense. I did run my business from my apartment, and my professional address was indeed publicly available. Against my better judgment, I let him in. He declined my automatic offer of a drink and got straight to the point. Vanessa asked me to talk to you. Of course she did, I replied, not bothering to hide my annoyance. I told her I wouldn't try to convince you to take her back. That's not why I'm here. That surprised me. Then why are you here? He sighed, looking uncomfortable. Because I know what it's like to be compared to someone else by her, and it sucks. She did the same thing to me, but in reverse. I raised an eyebrow, waiting for him to continue. When we were together, she'd talk about her ex before me, this intellectual type who'd take her to museums and poetry readings. Said I wasn't stimulating enough mentally. Made me feel like some dumb brute. So why are you telling me this? Because it's a pattern with her. She always wants what she doesn't have. When she's with someone gentle, she craves intensity. When she's with someone intense, she craves gentleness. Nothing is ever enough. I absorbed this, recognizing the truth in it. Again, why tell me this? Honestly, because you seem like a decent guy who's beating himself up right now, thinking you weren't enough. You were. You are. She's the one with the problem. After Jake left, I sat for a long time thinking about what he'd said. It didn't make me want Vanessa back. If anything, it confirmed I'd made the right call. But it did help dissolve some of the lingering doubts about whether I could have been more for her somehow. A month later, I ran into Kira at a coffee shop. She looked surprised to see me, then guilty. I owe you an apology, she said after an awkward greeting. I encouraged her venting about you, and that wasn't fair. I shrugged. Water under the bridge now. She's seen someone new already, Kira offered, watching my reaction closely. Some finance guy, very buttoned up. I had to laugh. Let me guess, she complains he's too serious, too focused on his career? Kira's eyes widened slightly. How did you know? Just a hunch. Life settled back into its steady rhythm after that. My business grew. I dated casually but nothing serious, and the whole episode began to feel like a distant memory. Then, 6 months after our breakup, I got an email from Vanessa. It was short and, surprisingly, not asking for anything. I've been in therapy. Turns out I have some issues with self-sabotage and grass is always greener syndrome. You were right to leave the way you did. It was the wake-up call I needed. I'm not asking for another chance. I know that ship has sailed. I just wanted you to know that you helped me realize I needed to change. So thank you. I hope you're doing well. I stared at the message for a long time before finally typing a brief reply. I'm glad you're getting help. Take care of yourself, Vanessa. And I meant it. I didn't wish her ill. I just wished I hadn't had to be collateral damage in her journey to self-awareness. Last week, my buddy Mike invited me to a barbecue at his place. Bringing someone special? He asked with exaggerated casualness. Not this time, I replied. But I have been seeing someone new. It's early days yet. What's she like? I thought about Claire, the architectural photographer I'd met on a job site 3 weeks earlier. Quiet, thoughtful, with a dry sense of humor that snuck up on you. The opposite of Vanessa in almost every way. She's genuine, I said finally, knows what she wants and doesn't play games. Mike nodded approvingly. Sounds like your type. And he was right. That had always been my type. I'd just gotten temporarily distracted by someone who burned brighter but far less consistently. Sometimes I think about that morning, Vanessa waking up to find her things packed and that screenshot waiting for her. It was cold, as Mike said, surgical, but it was also honest in a way that long, emotional conversations often aren't. I showed her exactly who I was. Someone who wouldn't beg to be appreciated, wouldn't compete with ghosts of relationships past, wouldn't accept being someone's silver medal. In the end, I'm grateful for that text message I wasn't meant to see. It hurt, but it also saved me from investing more time in someone who would never be satisfied with what I had to offer. And it taught me something valuable. Being reliable doesn't mean being a doormat. Being kind doesn't mean accepting disrespect. Sometimes the softest people make the hardest decisions. And sometimes that's exactly as it should be.